Even more information is rolling in about the Sims 4 Life and Death expansion pack and of course the base game update. As a reminder, there will be a gameplay trailer for this expansion pack that is on October 17th. Now we did get a teaser a few days ago about the Grim Reaper career. This new teaser with the Grim Reaper career, honestly I find it entertaining, but beyond that I don't think it really gives us tons of gameplay details. I will say there was a lot of positive reception to this trailer even on Twitter, which is unusual. I think a lot of people just enjoyed the whimsy that was put into this, and it does seem like the team is having a fun time promoting this pack. Now, while that might sound a little bit shallow, I have actually noticed a pretty difference in energy between different packs. For instance, when My Wedding Stories was being advertised, there was definitely not a lot of energy behind that. Let's get right into some of the details you probably came here for. Now, the first detail I have is that I know who the main producer for this expansion pack is, and personally I think this is good news. It is actually Sim Morgan. I got the honor to be the lead producer on this one. My last pack I was the lead producer for was Werewolves, so the fact that Sim Morgan also worked on Werewolves I think is a great sign. Now don't get me wrong, Werewolves has its own issues. Of course it had some bugs. It is not a perfect pack, but I would consider it one of the stronger game packs, and of course I will say it is different to push out a game pack versus an expansion pack, but I still can kind of see that influence here. So I'm definitely excited to see what she came up with. Again, that doesn't mean I expect this to be a flawless pack whatsoever, and the lead producer does have a lot of responsibility. However, of course, it is a full team that puts the pack together. Now, unfortunately, I don't know tons about the base game additions, but I do know a few hints here. This is actually more than a hint. We are going to be getting a new urn and a gravestone for mermaids. So this of course will only benefit you if you own island living, but I do think they look really neat in their design. And in case you are wondering, there is not going to be a bassinet that's specific to mermaids. However, Sim Morgan did seem at least open to the idea in the future. The bigger question is, what is the big thing associated with this base game update? Base game updates before expansion packs I think sometimes tend to be just as interesting as getting a new expansion pack, but they definitely vary a lot in terms of scope and overall quality, as we all know. Now, I was hoping it was going to be something along the lines of more customization for worlds, not a full create a world or anything crazy like that, but we did get a hint for the tarot cards that it could be something like that. I'm afraid I do have some bad news. As Sim Morgan says, world is too high of an expectation. It is actually Create a Sim related, but it's not a new outfit. It is way cooler than that. Now keep in mind, even though it is Create a Sim, that doesn't mean it's necessarily clothing or accessory related or even skin detail. Create a Sim also holds important systems such as likes and dislikes, traits, aspirations, romantic boundaries, etc. So there could be a new system, an adjustment to a system, an improvement to the user interface. They are teasing like it's actually a substantial addition, so I don't know what to make of that, especially since based upon context clues, my theories were incorrect. So let me know if you have a new guess for this. I just wanted to get that out of the way. And I also need to get out of the way that it's not zodiac signs either. Not to be a bummer, but we aren't doing that in this pack or with the upcoming update. Now, moving on from the base game update news, we have just a few more hints about this expansion pack. This is just about a CAS item. It's a swimsuit, and I do think the design looks pretty interesting and different than most items we have. I haven't really studied all the swimsuits in the game, but I do think it looks like it has some nice details. I will say I hope there is a version though without this part right here, that little overlay, that little cape. I think it's a really cool detail personally, but it would be nice also to have a version without that. The next parts touch upon some potential lore in this pack. One theory is that this sim right here is actually Nervous Subject, and in fact it seems to be a pretty solid guess here. Sim Morgan responded to this piece of artwork. If he was Nervous Subject when he lived with the Beakers they were experimenting on, who was he before? I bet he even had a real name. So this seems that there is potentially a connection with Nervous Subject. However, before Nervous Subject actually lived with Beakers. If by chance you have no idea who this sim is, I definitely recommend you check out Plumbella's channel because Plumbella does deep dives of past lore. But as a Spark Note summary, because this is going to come in connection with the next thing thing we're going to go over. Basically, Nervous Subject was featured in both the third Sims game and the second Sims game. In the third Sims game, Nervous Subject is actually a toddler and his mother is Olive Spectre. And if you look in the family bio, it is heavily hinted that he is the son of the Grim Reaper. So it kind of makes sense to bring him back. Now in Sims 2, he actually has a pretty terrible life. Basically, he was taken away from his mother by a social worker because she neglected him. He actually is adopted by the Beakers and they are living in Strangetown. They're considered mad scientists and basically they are experimenting on him. Yes, Sims 2 was absolutely brutal. Only has one friend and they're not even that close. And obviously there's some trauma going on there. So I don't know how Sims 4 is going to handle this sim. It will be definitely interesting to see indeed. And again, it is Sims 4, so it's going to be a completely different take, in my opinion, on the original lore. Allusions to past Sims games don't end there, because some people think that Olive Spectre is also coming. As this person points out, I think there's a bigger chance for this woman on the cover to be a younger version of Olive Spectre rather than her niece Ophelia. She points out to the hair color, which is correct for what she looked like when she was younger, as well as the eye colors, the overall hair texture, and also is a lover of Grimm. Again, adding in to that lore. So I'm really interested to see how this actually is laid out in The Sims 4. I will admit, most of the time when Sims 4 adds lore, I don't find it to be especially compelling, but I'm always willing to give something a chance. Again, really quickly here, a very quick summary. Basically, this sim is a widow, and in fact, in Sims 2, her memories, you can see she was left at the altar by Earl Demise, who died soon after. In fact, she had many husbands that died, indeed one of the original Black Widows, and people speculate whether or not she actually murdered her husbands or not. So that was something I always found really compelling in Sims 2. Sims 2 was definitely pretty dark at times and very interesting. She does also appear as a younger version of herself with her son, of course Nervous Subject, in Midnight Hollow, which is a world you can buy from the third Sims game store. Again, no clue how Sims 4 is going to handle this, but definitely a fun nod to past Sims games. All in all, I know that this information isn't really shocking or anything like that, but I do think they're having a lot of fun just teasing aspects of this pack in the base game update. I would say lower your expectations for the base game update, but honestly, I have no clue what it is at this point, so your guess is as good as mine. I still am actually pretty interested in this pack, and though I do expect it is going to be flawed, especially the funerals, I'm worried about the funerals, I still think it has potential at very least to be an interesting pack. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. As always, please take care, and I'll see you in the next one.